Morning, fools. We got the 33 in. So I actually went down Friday and picked this up. It was stranded on the side of the road. This is a car we've had in before. Customer had bought it I don't know, back last year at some point. Bought it out of Florida. Had some issues. He brought it in. We'd done some stuff to it, went over it. Thing would not stop to save its life when it came in here. Like literally you'd have to stand on the brake pedal with both feet and pry up on the bottom of the freaking steering column to get it to stop. But it had just manual brakes on it, and honestly it didn't have enough master cylinder on it to actuate the brakes. So it's got like a Mustang 2 front clip on it. But what ended up doing was, and the converter was super tight in it, so it's like as soon as you drop in gear, it's rolling. So what we ended up doing was we converted it to power brakes. Put a booster and master cylinder on the firewall and did that to give it power brakes. And then we also put power steering on it, put a Holley Sniper EFI on it, and a couple other little odds and ends, like put different set of gauges in it. He didn't like the gauges. Polished the bezel on it, got the lights working, bunch of just little knick-knack odds and ends stuff. But I had transmission going through, and then we did put a converter in it to loosen it up, so it would actually like not wanting to push through the brakes all the time. But now that the brakes were fixed, it helped it. But the car it's a good little driver, just a small block turbo 350 car, cruised down the road really nice. But anyway, I went down last Friday and picked it up, left them sitting on the side of the road. It has an HEI distributor in it. Well, anyway, the module went up in the distributor. It had no spark, so I went down there, grabbed that, threw a module in it, plug a laptop into it, just kind of go over the tune there a little bit. And it rode rough, which, come to find out, on the back of this thing, the way they have the shock set up, the shock bracket, I don't know if you can see it there, how it tails down. Well, it wasn't on upside down, it was tailing up. Well, the shocks are only, those shocks there that were on it were at ride height were 11 inches center to center. So I take the shocks off, compress them, they only compressed to like 10 1/4, so it was only had 3/4 of an inch of travel. So the shock was actually bottoming out each time I hit a bump. So I flipped the brackets over, it gave me 2 more inches of travel out of the shock, and then put an actual longer stroke shock on it. So it's like compressed is like 9 1/2. Not that it'll ever get there, it'll hit the frame, bottom out before it does that. But being leaf spring, it'll never get there. And then extended was like 14 1/2, I think. So it's like kind of right in the middle there, because right now they're like 12 3/4 center to center, almost 13 inches. So at ride height. So I'm going to drive it, just make sure the knocking is taken care of there, which it almost has to be. Cool thing, this car, it's a Chevy. It's a 33 Chevy. Got a rumble seat though. Everybody's like, you see a bunch of Fords, you don't see many Chevrolets. And this is actually, I think they call them an Eagle is what it is, Chevrolet Eagle. Cool car though, hot rod, street rod, whatever you want to call it. But just cool car. Very good driver, just cruises down the road. Other thing I did on it prior when it came up, changed the mirrors and I put power windows in it. It had these crank windows in it, but we did the one touch, looks like the same window crank, but it is power. So all you do is just turn the key on and just hit it to go up, hit it to go down. So kind of cool. But yeah, so we'll take this thing for a ride here. I had to fix the door handles on it too before these old square peg deals that went into the latch. The way they had it set up, it wasn't making contact with it, so you would have to really lean on it, and it wouldn't barely pull the striker back far enough to open the door. So we did that. Like I said, we did go over put these vintage looking odometer gauges in it, and yeah, So it looks like it's all wood grain, but this is actually metal. Somebody actually painted that, I guess. Same thing with all the trim. Kind of old build, but definitely cool. Like I said, it's just a good driver. You literally hop in the thing and go anywhere. It don't have much gear in it, so it cruises down the road nice, and not tacking a bunch of RPM for a Turbo 350 car. So it's cool. So we'll get some video of this driving this down the road, but we're gonna mess with that here today, and just another one. But the module was easy. Typical HEI. Anybody's ever had an HEI, pretty sure you've all experienced a module going bad in them. And when he called, he said, "Oh, I hear the fuel pump run," which with the Hollies they run for the first, when you key them up, they run for the first 5 seconds there or whatever. He's like, "I hear the," I was like, "Well, it's got power to the unit." He's like, "But I crank it." And I was like, so I went down and got in it and pulled the handheld out and cranking it, and wasn't showing no RPM. So I was like, either pickup or the module's out of it. And I said, I'm pretty sure the module's out of it. So I threw a module in it and she fired right up. So did that. That's about it. So we'll go over here and check it out. But definitely cool because it's a Chevy, and who doesn't love old street rod? Everybody looks at you, waves at you going down the road. Cool stuff. So follow along.